What if you never had to pay for campground fees again? What if you never had to deal with a noisy neighbor again? So today we're talking about a solution to that I think no matter if you're a full-timer, a some-timer, or a weekender, you're gonna wanna hear this.
Today we're going to talk all about boondocking.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a lot of the misconceptions about it, and we get a lot of questions about this.
Yeah.
And we, just so you know our background, we started off full-time a couple years ago and had zero intention of boondocking. We pretty much were going to be surfing campgrounds for the rest of our RV lives. But then we figured out a way that we could actually get out and enjoy places like this, even when it's not about to rain.
And no matter if you think you could never do no hookups, you don't have the systems for it, we're going to show you some ways around that, some small ways that you can test the waters a little bit. And if you're a seasoned boondocker, please watch and comment and share your expertise with the rest of us. We have so many people who really want to boondock, but they're just not sure they can handle it. So today we are going to bust all the misconceptions about boondocking so that maybe it's right for you and you can enjoy this too. Okay, so let's talk about this subject with I think we get most questions about. Is boondocking worth all the work? And I think that the question I get the most is usually from the fellas saying that their wife will not be on board with the whole tank management, water management when it comes to boondocking, especially long term. I thought I would be that person too. I'll be straight with you. But what I found it's really not that big of a deal.
It's really not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Except don't go throw your water over your patio. That's a whole other story. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go watch the accident video. So there you go. But let's just talk about that. So water management, it really is more like you're not going to be able to take your long hot showers, right? You're going to have to conserve a little more. You want to get a shower head that has a shutoff valve. You're going to turn it off when you're sudsing up, and then you just turn it on when you're rinsing off. So you're not letting it run the whole time. That's one inconvenience some people may or may not be willing to adjust to. To me, for the benefits of being out here without noisy neighbors, without paying the camp fees, totally worth it. Same thing with dishes. You may have to, not let your water run the whole time. You get really good at it after a while. It does take practice, trial and error, things like that. Your propane we don't really have much of an issue using propane. What we do is we just ran into town. We went to, there was Ace Hardware. We filled all our propane tanks up, and we have several. We have the two that come with the RV, and then we have a couple of separate ones too for the generator and for a separate heater and the Blackstone. But propane management to me is not that big a deal unless you're in really cold weather, which we will never do. Just so y'all know, we don't do that.
People think faster out there on account of all that warm weather. Cold weather make people stupid. That's a fact.
So that's something to consider is your climate. Let's talk about black tanks and gray tanks. So we have two really good other videos on how you refill your fresh water when you're out boondocking and you don't want to drive your whole rig into town to fill it up. We use a water bladder. Really detailed how to do it. It is not difficult. We can stay here for 2 weeks and probably refill the fresh maybe once-ish, The black and the gray, we have a tote, the poo tote. So after about a week, maybe just a little over a week, maybe it just depends how good we're being about our waste. Barry will fill that tote using a macerator pump, puts it in the truck or the bed of the truck, takes it, dumps it at a dump station, and now we have another week or so or more that we can go on our tanks. So it's just a matter of figuring out your tanks. I tell you what, I was not that person I thought could do this. And we have figured out little tips and tricks, and I will link to a video that explains some of those deeper about how we ration things. Trash, again, you go into town, you take a little bag, throw it away when you're walking in the grocery store doors. You could do that. We found a city park that had a dumpster. No problem. That's where we're going to put our trash from now on. So it's not hard, guys. But if you're someone who can't be inconvenienced, maybe this isn't for you, but for us, totally worth it. Another misconception is that you can't boondock with that big old rig.
Obviously you can. So we're actually at 8,200 feet. We're up, we're close to Buena Vista, Colorado. Just a beautiful mountainside, as you can see. And the thing that I wanted to point out is that, believe it or not, we drove that road back there to get to the highway takes about 10 minutes.
It is not close to the highway.
Yeah, so meaning going very, very slow, obviously.
And most of it's unpaved.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But my point is that, now sometimes that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes you're going to go off road and go 50 feet and go, nope, we can't go there because there's too many big giant ruts or all that kind of thing. But this situation, it just happened to be awesome. Yeah. So we were able to pull way, 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 way down this road, found an awesome spot that's very, very secluded, and big giant rig, no problem.
Yeah, and all you have to do is a little bit more research if you're big. Because I get a lot of people saying, well, that's why we're buying a 20-foot trailer and staying really small, because we want to be able to get, and you will be able to get deeper into nature, which that is a total plus of having a small rig. But what we do is we scout it out. We either ride an e-bike down the road, check it out, look at trees, make sure we can fit.
What did you think? I know, they just came through. Isn't that cool? Hi, guys.
It's going to be bumpy. It's going to be a little tight in some areas. But I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Or the day before, we'll be at a campground and we'll drive it. That's what we did this time. And make sure, what our options are. So when we go to pull the whole rig in, that we know we're good. You can people boondock with rigs bigger than ours, like pulling giant trailers. You can boondock with whatever rig you have. You just got to do a little extra work.
I just want to point out, just look at the space that we have, not just the mountains, but the space that we have in our campsite. I mean, this is our little home. And what's amazing is we came from probably one of the worst campground experiences that we had to have, because Darlene was kind of convalescing, if you will, in Colorado Springs. So we ended up booking this RV park that turned out to be just basically a big gravel parking lot. And we were there for about 5 weeks and hated it, to be honest, because it was so noisy. It was right next to the highway. I mean, it was just insane how much noise it was there. Just the whole scene was just bad. All the traffic, everything. And then we came out here 3 hours away. And like I said, it's just so quiet out here. Not necessarily when the wind's blowing, but
a little windy today.
But just and so when we got here on Sunday, I just had almost like this feeling of euphoria. I think just because after 5 weeks of really in kind of a stressful situation, I thought, how wonderful is this, that we're able to come out here for free and come to this beautiful place and just live here for 2 weeks and have all this space and be able to throw the ball with the dog, no big deal, and work out and exercise. And we played our music loud when we were when we were setting up our RV, no big deal. It's all ours.
And the cool thing is about a lot of times in this BLM areas, and sometimes you'll be like, you can't even see another person. Sometimes you can see them just off in the distance, but they aren't very close. And then other times they're a little closer to you. It really just depends on what you pick. When I do my research, I look for that. What are they saying? Were people kind of really close to each other, or were they really spread out? But right now, we came in later on a Sunday. People were just leaving left and right, and they've continued to. And so right now we have a neighbor way over there and a neighbor way over there, and that's it. And then all you're gonna just see the rest on the way out, but they're all spread out. So it's really, really just a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of campgrounds.
Hey guys, I just want to break in just for a second and remind you about our free giveaway we're having for the RV Snappads. Man, we have had these from day one and we love them. Barry likes to say that they're like shoes for your RV, but really they have a great reason. It's that they do attach permanently. Once you got them on, they should not come off. We've had ours on for 2 years, no issue, but they give you a larger surface area so that when you're on grass and gravel, you don't have to worry about sinking as much. It just gives a lot of protection to your jack feet, which basically will help them last longer, especially if you were to maybe jump a little curb here and there. These guys are going to help protect them. We just love them and we support them because we've used them for 2 years and we know they're good. So all you need to do is head over to our website and get on the list. We'll do the drawing at the end of September, and I wish you good luck.
Okay, one of the big misconceptions about boondocking is that it takes a lot of money to get going with it. You need to have a solar setup, a bunch of lithium batteries, and a big generator, all that kind of stuff. That's only partially true. Okay, so one of the biggest expenses you're going to have are your lithium batteries. But the thing is that if you're looking at companies like Battleborn or some of these other like super high price batteries, yeah, you're probably just going to go, oh, that's not for me. So we do not use Battleborn batteries. We use Redodo brand batteries. So you can watch our other videos about our solar setup, but I tell the story about how I hired a solar consultant named Dan Hemming, one of the best in the industry, to help me with my solar setup. And he recommended Redodo batteries to me. And he said, I have 2 RVs and I have Redodo in both of my RVs. I thought, well, that's a pretty good, recommendation if you're actually using them yourself. Here's the thing. We just looked this up. For 800 amp hours of lithium batteries, which is what we have, in Redodo batteries, it's $1,500, give or take, right now.
Using our code.
You can go on our website, you can go on our code, and we'll put a link down below, and you can get, there's a coupon code and all that. For the same amount of lithium batteries with Battleborn, $7,500. I don't get it. I know maybe Battleborn's hating this if they're watching this video, but I just don't understand why. To me, a battery is a battery is a battery. And these have, they have a warranty on them. You can see the details. Click on the link. They've got, great customer service. Again, we've already told this story in our solar video, but if that's what you're concerned about, but I mean, even if these batteries, say they only lasted for 3 years, and we had to buy a whole new set of Redodo batteries for $1,500, we would still be way ahead. So, I mean, don't let the battery expense get to you. And there are some other batteries out there that are more affordable. We just go with Redodo, had no problems with them. We think they're great. All right, so the other big thing that you're going to have is you're going to have an inverter. You cannot run your AC electrical power off of just batteries. You need something to convert that DC power to AC power. That's going to be your inverter. So there's a bunch of different brands of inverters out there. We went with Victron. There's other companies that make inverters. You can research it yourself and go with what fits your budget. The other thing is that you don't necessarily have to have solar panels. You could actually just use a generator, but you have to have some way to generate electricity. And that's either going to come from a generator or it's going to come from solar or both. Now you can either use a portable generator like this, or you can use an onboard generator. We had an onboard generator, the one that's very common in a lot of RVs, which is the Onan 5500. It was the one that we had was old. We bought it used. We didn't like it at all. It smelled bad. It was noisy. Maybe the upgraded new ones are better. I don't know, but we just decided that, and plus it was extremely heavy. I think it weighed 350 pounds of just dead weight. So we got rid of it. And I ended up going with this portable generator. This is actually also, it's a Cummins brand. So far, I absolutely love this. I am going to do a video on it, but highly recommended. This is a dual fuel. And that, to me, that was a big deal because I do not like gas. I like running things on propane, but I can run this on gas if I want to. Now, one tip to the wise, if you're ever going to put gas into a generator, always use pure gas. Do not use gas that has ethanol in a generator. Don't do it.
Ask me how I know.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't want to know where to get real gas, you can go to Pure Gas, download the app. That's a great tip for you, worth the price of the video. Okay, so the way that this thing works is it is basically a 30 amp hookup. Think of it that way. We have a 50 amp hookup rig, right? But sometimes we go to campgrounds and they only have 30 amp hookups. So we have to put this little dog bone adapter on it. So we just basically do the same thing with this generator. Now, the other thing that I love about this is it has a remote start. That is a huge plus because I have another little Champion generator that we bought before this one. That's a little pull start one. No fun, especially when you're at high altitudes doing propane. It's really hard to get started. With this, I literally just push a button. Well, here.
From inside?
Bam. So the cost of that Cummins brand generator, I believe, was around $1,200. and you can get it in our Amazon link below. Again, I love it. Now, as far as the noise level goes, I mean, all generators are going to make a fair amount of noise. This one was actually, if you look at the dB count or meter or whatever, it's actually pretty low compared to a lot of other generators, which was a huge appeal to me. As you can see, there's hardly anybody around us. That's the other, I mean, that's a massive thing that we love about boondocking.
Let's just do a little pan.
So you do want to be mindful of when you're, we do have some folks over here pretty close to us. They probably could barely even hear our generator. I can't imagine that they would, but we don't want to be running it at 5 o'clock in the morning or something like that if we can avoid it. And you are going to be sometimes in boondocking situations where you're going to have people a little tighter to you. But again, the thing we just love about boondocking overall, most of the time, we're out in the middle of nowhere with nobody around us, and it doesn't matter when we're running our generator, and I love that. Okay, so let's talk about solar and the generator. So we have around 1,500 or so watts of solar panels on the roof, and it on a good sunny day where we've got sun all day, we don't need the generator. The only time that we might need the generator is in the evenings when we're watching. Believe it or not, those big screen TVs actually take up a lot of electricity, and we just kind of want to bump it right before we go to bed. So we'll let it run maybe an hour before then. But of course, on days like today, where it's cloudy, we had to run it for a good hour and a half. Now you'd be maybe wondering about the expense of the propane. I don't know.
We don't track it.
we don't really calculate it all that much, and but I look at it like, well, I could be paying for a campground and paying a heck of a lot of money, so paying for some propane, no big deal. Okay, before I forget, one of the things that I want to mention when it comes to solar and generators, a big deal everybody thinks about, I know I did, is air conditioners. So as you can see, we have 3 air conditioners on the top of that rig, and they're just the old-fashioned Coleman,
the ones everybody has.
Yeah, exactly. And those things, they soak up a lot of electricity. So, can you run your air conditioners on lithium batteries? Yes, for a very short period of time, unless you have a huge battery bank and a huge solar rig. The key, go places where you don't need to use the AC. And I'm just telling you, that's another huge plus with coming out west, because when you go out west, the humidity is super low. We're from Florida. We had no concept of how dry it was out here and how wonderful that is when you're dealing with heat, because you get in the shade and you feel cool. So most of the time, we don't even turn our air conditioners on at all. And the cool thing, again, you can go up to higher elevations. Like I said, we're at 8,200 feet. So during the day, it gets around maybe close to 70 degrees. And then at night, it drops down to around 40, 45, and it's dry heat. It's no big deal. So one of the big misconceptions about boondocking is that you're always alone and solitary. That could certainly be the case, and that could be one of the more rewarding things. But one of the most fun things that we've done in a long time is we actually, when we met the Border Hookups, if you're not familiar with their channel, it's Dave and Jacqueline. We met them at it was a
Escapees event.
Escapers event.
Sorry.
Escapers event. They were performing. They're musicians, and then got to know them anyway. So we kind of hooked up with them a little bit later, them and some other friends, and we were outside of Yuma, Arizona, and we were boondocking.
I think there were like 4 or 5 of us, rig-wise, and
it was right around the time of the Super Bowl, and so they invited us to come over for a Super Bowl party one night, and so there we were under the stars. Hugo was playing with his ball.
He wants to play ball.
And but that was just a super fun experience, and you get to know other people that are like you, and you can all kind of camp around the same area. And we've met people that have kind of like this spot that we're in right now. We could have kind of converged on this spot with a bunch of other people because there's enough space to do that. Yeah. So that is certainly an option.
Yeah. So it can be alone time, or it can be time for you to get together with your friends and all of you boondock together and experience it together. In fact, if you're a fan of our channel and you'd like to meet us and hang out with us, the Border Hookups are having a really cool event called Romp It Up. And it's going to be around Halloween. I'll put all the dates and all the information in the description on the screen as well. But they know lots of musicians. Barry's a musician. They're going to have open jams. They're going to have different art music every night, food trucks. There's going to be excursions for wine tasting and exploring. And it's, they do, last time I checked, they had a very little amount of like 30 amp hookups maybe, but the majority of the people are boondocking. But we would love to invite you to come to it and meet us and meet them and get to know this really cool community of RVers. It can get kind of lonely on the road sometimes, especially if you're full time. And this is one way that we remedy that situation, and we get to meet you guys in person and support a really great channel who is doing, I think it's their first big kind of meetup kind of thing. So I'll put all the information. It's in Sonoyta, Arizona, I think. It's at a fairgrounds there. So all the information will be below. But we would love to have you join us there and have a great time together.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. We really hope you support them. I think they're doing something super special. I've planned my own events as a musician before, and I know that it is a lot of work. So I hope they have a fantastic turnout. I'm sure it's going to be a great time.
And if you're coming, let us know. Message us, come to the website, go through socials, whatever, and so we can be sure to meet up with you there. All right, so another misconception is that you can just boondock, dry camp, anywhere you want, all over the U.S. all the time. Not so much.
No, not so much.
The east side of the United States, we haven't done a lot there, mainly because there's just not as much plentiful BLM, Bureau of Land Management, Forest Service areas, wildlife reserve areas. These are all places that you can generally boondock. You don't find those a lot on the East Coast, Midwest even. But out here in the West, like we're in Colorado right now, oh my gosh, we could stay the whole year out here and hit a different spot constantly.
So the states we would typically go to are what you would think typically of the West or the Southwest, Nevada,
New Mexico,
yeah, Utah certainly,
Arizona, California,
yeah.
Not the coast. We don't fit in the coast.
But you can boondock. There's actually a lot of public land in California.
Yeah. Yes, you have to do a little homework. I detailed more in another video, and I'll link to that, how I look for BLM. I use Facebook groups that I'm in, Campendium, iOverlander, things like that, and read a lot of reviews. Just remember, guys, no matter what, if you're doing 1 day or 14 days, which is a lot of times what BLM will allow you to stay at a time, pack it in, pack it out, leave no trace. If we want to keep using these public lands, we got to treat them right. So if you get to your spot and there's trash, pick it up. Don't leave it. Leave it better than when you got there, for sure. So we had to come inside because it's dinner time and I'm making some jambalaya. Yep. The menu doesn't change too much for boondocking. I still cook my food. Love cooking. So a big one is you'll never get cell internet connection out in the boonies, up in the mountains, that kind of thing. We get that a lot. And to be honest, we've never had a problem with it. I think it's because of all the research I do ahead of time. So when I'm on websites, in Facebook groups, iOverlander, Campendium, RV Life, I'm looking at people's reviews, and they will usually say what kind of connectivity they have in some of these boondocking spots. And if they say absolutely no Verizon signal, I might consider doing something else. But for the most part, we haven't had a problem with that. You can get cell boosters, but we haven't needed it yet. And usually when we scout out a spot, if I absolutely have nothing on my phone, I might worry a little bit at that point. But a lot of times it's not an issue because we have Starlink. As long as we have open sky, we can use that to communicate and get everything we need. Now, if you remember, I run the channel. I have to upload videos. Barry still works full time for a company. He has to clock in. You can't just take the day off because he has no connectivity. It is so important to have multiple levels and options for the internet for us. If you're just watching movies, maybe you can just have one. Starlink is our preferred. We have a T-Mobile backup for as long as they let us use it. So between those two options and then our cell hotspots, we do just fine. But it is something that people think, like we are high elevation. You would think we would have problems. We have no problem here. So don't let that stop you from boondocking.
One good thing about boondocking is that Hugo gets to get out and get lots of exercise. He gets to go run and chase the ball every day at around 4 o'clock. And he goes until he can't go no more. Right, buddy?
Yeah.
Another big misconception is that boondocking is unsafe. I don't think that that's true. I think there are some things that you need to concern yourself with. Let's talk about just safety from some bad guys or people coming and getting you. We've addressed this before in another video, but I'll just hit this real quick. We're the persuasion that, you know, if there, not that there couldn't be crime or something like that, but it would most likely be a crime of opportunity. And you're usually meaning that somebody would happen to see you out there and think, I'm going to attack that person or I'm going to go steal their stuff. So it's just not very likely that that's going to happen. It's a lot more likely that it's going to happen to you in a city environment or in an RV park environment. Or unfortunately, you know, we've seen some things where at rest stops or something, like people, you know, are held up at gunpoint or stuff like that, that, you know, you just have to think that some kind of bad guy or bad person is going to come out way out in the woods to do you harm. It's probably not very likely. Again, should you have security measures in place? I think so, absolutely. We have Hugo. He's an 80-pound dog, and he's pretty scary when he gets cornered. Whether or not you want to get one of these, that's up to you. You know, or some sort of other safety measures, you know, lights that automatically come on, or, you know, motion lights, that kind of thing. That'd be one thing. Okay, so let's talk about another topic. Weather. Weather is probably a little bit more scary topic to me than being attacked or something, because the weather can change constantly, right? I mean, the weather, it's been sunny to here, it rains, it gets windy, you know, and then we've been also in environments where we set all the way up, and then we found out that there was going to be a storm and we were in a flood zone. That was in California. And, you know, looking back on it, we should have probably researched that beforehand. So we had to pack everything up after only being there for about 48 hours and get to higher ground because we didn't want to risk it. You know, so, and we've been in an RV campground in my hometown in Indiana and had 2 tornadoes in one day. Had nothing to do with boondocking. You know, so weather can happen, but you certainly, but when it comes to dealing with the roads, that is something that you would certainly want to think about. I know that like in Arizona or the desert areas where they have those washes, you know, where there's like, you know, like a flash flood kind of thing could come through, and it could, so say you get yourself in a situation where you're parked off grid for maybe a week or so, the rains come and you have a bunch of storms come in, and then all of a sudden you figure that you can't get out the way that you came in because there's a big wash and it washed away all the you know, the road or something like that. That would be kind of scary. So you just need to keep those types of things in mind. We haven't had to deal with it yet, but, you know, knock on wood. Another thing would be wildlife pests. So let's talk about bears. We've talked in the past. We have encountered some black bears. Never encountered a grizzly. We were in California. It wasn't a boondocking spot, but it might as well have been. It was very remote, and we did have some black bears came behind very close to the camper. They're very skittish of humans. They're way more scared of humans than we are of them. You know, so, but don't leave your food out if there's ever any type of situation where you might encounter some bears. I just think it's wise to keep your trash inside, and then, you know, maybe put it in the bed of your truck, assuming that you have a cover you know, over your truck. Or I actually burn our trash because we use a lot of paper products. So every night, pretty much, I'll go and I'll just kind of burn the paper plates and stuff that we use, you know, to try to cut down on the trash. But you don't want to give the wildlife a reason to come to your campsite. So we hope that you've gotten some ideas from this video, and hopefully it's just encouraged you to take the plunge. You don't need batteries to start. You can just go out and boondock with a generator if you have one, and just go do it for a weekend. You know, discover,
test those waters,
see what it's like. And if you totally hate it, be like, well, Barry and Darlene are crazy. I don't like that at all. Fine. You know,
but you might end up like us, never think we were going to do it, and we absolutely love it. So give it a try. If you have any questions, comment below. We'll be glad to answer them for you, and we will see you next time.